Hello, hey, sweet people. It's Foster from Inglês no Cru. Just real quick before we get started with the show today, I want to say something about Cambly. So I literally just went on Cambly and I used our promo code. They give me a free class, and I just haven't experimented with the platform in some time, so I wanted to see what was going on, and it was super cool. Literally, I just went to the site, entered my information, and within like 3 minutes, I was talking to some lady from London. And then it was kind of complicated that I had to explain, hey, I'm already a native English speaker. But it was very, very cool. And after that, they send you notes about your class and give you follow-up information that is extremely useful. So if you are serious about improving your English, you got to speak to people. You have to speak to native speakers. And Cambly is a great way to do that. So you can just use the link in the show notes. Go to Cambly.com, use our promo code, and start speaking to native speakers today. Okay, let's get on with the show.
Hey everyone! So today I'm gonna read all by myself the article that we've been talking about during all last week and this week as well. So I can prove to myself that I can read. I will make mistakes. It won't be perfect, but I think that after what Foster told me last week and all the advices and all the corrections, I will probably do it better. So if you want to go ahead and go to our show notes where the episode description is and open the link so you can read with me, it would be awesome because you'll be studying with me. So let's go. Yes, let's go. Talking out loud to yourself is a technology for thinking. This week, a woman was strolling my street, walking in circles and speaking out loud to herself. People were looking at her awkwardly, but she didn't particularly mind and continued walking vigorously and speaking. Yes, that woman was me. Like many of us, I talk to myself out loud, though I'm a little unusual in that I often do it in public spaces. Whenever I want to figure out an issue, develop an idea, or memorize a text, I turn to this odd work routine. While it's definitely earned me a reputation in my neighborhood, it's also improved my thinking and speaking skills immensely. Speaking out loud is not only a medium of communication, but a technology of thinking. It encourages the formation and processing of thoughts. The idea that speaking out loud and thinking are closely related is new. It emerged in ancient Greece and Rome in the work of such great orators as Marcus Tullius Cicero. But perhaps the most intriguing modern development of the idea appeared in the essay on the gradual formation of thoughts during speech, 1805, by the German writer Heinrich von Kleist. Here, Kleist describes his habit of using speech as a thinking method and speculates that if we can discover something just by thinking out about it, we might discover it in the process of free speech. He writes that we usually hold an abstract beginning of a thought, but active speech helps to turn the obscure thought into a whole idea. It's not, though, that produces speech, but rather, speech is a creative process that in turn generates thought. Just as appetite comes with eating, Kleist argues, ideas come with speaking. A lot of attention has been given to the power of spoken self affirmation as a means of self empowerment in the spirit of positive psychology. However, as Klein says, talking to oneself is also a cognitive and intellectual tool that allows for a wider array of possible cases. Contemporary theories in cognition and the science of learning reaffirm Clyde's speculations and show how self talk contributes not only to motivation and emotional regulation, but also to some higher cognitive functions such as developing metacognition and reasoning. If self talk is so beneficial, why are we talking to ourselves all the time? The dynamic between self talk and inner speech might explain the dubious social status of the former. Self talk is often seen as a premature equivalent of inner speech, the silent inner voice in our mind, which has prominent cognitive functions in itself. The tendency to express our inner thoughts in actual self talk, typical of children, is internalized and transforms to voiceless inner speech in adulthood, as the developmental psychologist Lev Vygotsky already speculated in the 1920s. Vygotsky's view stood in opposition to a competing one from the psychological school known as behaviorism, which saw children's self talk as a byproduct of supposedly less competent minds. But Vygotsky's claimed that self talk has an active mental role. He observed children performing tasks while speaking to themselves out loud and reached the conclusion that their private talk is a crucial stage in their mental development. Gradually, a child's interaction with others turns into an uttered conversation with the self talk, until it becomes muted inner speech in adulthood. Vygotsky's successors, such as the psychologist Charles Fernyhough, have demonstrated that inner speech goes on to facilitate an array of cognitive functions, including problem solving, activating working memory, and preparation for social encounters. It is inner speech rather than self talk, then, that has been the focus of research in adults. However, the internalization of self talk isn't necessarily evidence of cognitive maturity. Rather, it could represent the degeneration of an essential cognitive skill in the face of social pressure. The sociologist Irving Goffman noted that self talk is taboo because it is a threat to intersubjectivity and violates the social assumption that speech is communicative. As he wrote in his book Forms of Talk, 1981, there are no circumstances in which we can say, I'm sorry, I can't come right now. I'm busy talking to myself. Self talk is deemed legitimate only when done in private, by children, by people with intellectual disabilities, or in Shakespearean soliloquies. Yet, self talk enjoys certain advantages over inner speech, even in adults. First, silent inner speech often appears in a condensed and partial form. As Fernyhough has shown, we often tend to speak to ourselves silently using single words and condensed sentences. Speaking out loud, by contrast, allows the retrieval of our thoughts in full using rhythm and intonation that emphasize their pragmatic and argumentative meaning and encourages the creation of developed complex ideas. Not only does speech retrieve pre existing ideas, it also creates new information in the retrieval process, just as in the process of writing. Speaking out loud is inventive and creative. Each uttered word and sentence doesn't just bring forth an existing thought, but also triggers a new mental and linguistic connection. In both cases, speech and writing, the materiality of language undergoes a transformation to audible sounds or written signs, which in turn produces a mental shift. This transformation isn't just about the translation of thoughts into another set of signs. Rather, it adds new information to the mental process and generates new mental cascades. That's why the best solution for creative blocks isn't to try to think in front of an empty page and simply wait for thoughts to arrive, but actually to continue to speak and write anything, trusting this generative process. Speaking out loud to yourself also increases the dialogical quality of our own speech. Although we have no visible addressee, speaking to ourselves encourages us to actively construct an image of an addressee and activate one's theory of mind, the ability to understand other people's mental states and to speak and act according to their imagined expectations. Mute inner speech can appear as an inner dialogue as well, but its truncated form encourages us to create a secret, abbreviated language and deploy mental shortcuts. By forcing us to articulate ourselves more fully, self talk summons up the image of an imagined listener or interrogator more vividly. In this way, it allows us to question ourselves more critically by adopting an external perspective on our ideas, and so to consider shortcomings in our arguments, all while using our own speech. You might have noticed too that self talk is often intuitively performed while the person is moving or walking around. If you've ever paced back and forth in your room while trying to talk something out, you've used this technique intuitively. It's no coincidence that we walk when we need to think. Evidence shows that movement enhances thinking and learning, and both are activate in the same center of motor control in the brain. In the influential subfield of cognitive science concerned with embodied cognition, one prominent claim is that actions themselves are constitutive of cognitive processes. That is, activities such as playing a musical instrument, writing, speaking, or dancing don't start in the brain and then emanate out to the body as actions. Rather, they entail the mind and body working in concert as a creative, integrated whole, unfolding and influencing each other in turn. It's therefore a significant problem that many of us are trapped in work and study environments that don't allow us to activate these intuitive cognitive muscles, and indeed often even encourage us to avoid them. So, this is the end of part one of me reading Talking Out Loud to Yourself is a technology for thinking. And next episode, I'm going to finish and have my final notes about this article and how I think I did it, how I think I did it. So keep up the good work and lose well. I know that Foster says keep up the good fight and lose well, but I like to keep up the good work as well. Bye! Muito obrigada por ter escutado mais um episódio aqui do Inglês de Necrorádio. É muito bom ter você juntinho assim de nós. Faz muito, muito carinho no nosso coração, digamos assim. Então você que está interessado em saber mais sobre os nossos produtos e saber mais sobre a gente, o que a gente oferece para vocês em relação a estudo, a challenge, a curso, vá lá no inglesnocru.com e você pode ver mais sobre as worksheets, por exemplo.
Yeah. If you want to really improve your English, if you want to learn more about the ways you can do that and just connect with us on a deeper level, go to inglesnocru.com. And as always, keep up the good fight.
And lose well.
See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.